Gorilla refuses to let human baby go. Ranger bursts into tears when he discovers why. The jungle was alive with the sounds of rustling leaves and chattering animals. The ranger had been patrolling the area for hours, keeping an eye out for any signs of danger. It was a routine patrol, or so he thought, until he heard a sound that made him freeze in his tracks. It was a cry. A desperate cry that pierced the quietness of the jungle. The ranger felt a shiver run down his spine as he realized that it was the sound of a baby crying. He followed the sound, his heart racing, and soon he found himself face to face with the scene that would haunt him for the rest of his life. In front of him was a massive gorilla, its huge frame blocking his path. The ranger felt his blood run cold as he saw that the gorilla had taken a baby in its arms. The gorilla was cradling the baby with a gentleness that was surprising, considering its massive size. The ranger could see tears in the gorilla's eyes as it looked down at the baby. The ranger's mind was racing. He knew that he had to get the baby away from the gorilla, but he also knew that he had to be careful. One wrong move and the gorilla could attack, putting both the baby and himself in danger. The ranger cautiously took a step forward, trying to get closer to the gorilla. The gorilla turned its head, its eyes locked on the ranger. The ranger could see a mix of emotions in the gorilla's eyes: fear, protectiveness, and sadness. And then the ranger was shocked to see that the massive gorilla had taken the baby in its arms and was refusing to let go. Hey there, ViralVids here. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell. We post the most beautiful, amazing, and scary videos every single day. Let's proceed with the video. The ranger stood there, frozen, as he watched the gorilla holding onto the baby with an iron grip. He knew he had to act fast, but he didn't want to harm the animal. As he took a step closer, the gorilla bared its teeth and let out a warning growl. The ranger paused, trying to figure out what was going on. It was then that he noticed something strange. The gorilla's eyes seemed to be filled with sadness and grief, almost as if it was mourning a loss. The ranger's heart sank as he realized what was happening. The gorilla had lost its baby, and it had found solace in the human baby. The ranger had seen gorillas mourn their dead before, but this was different. It was almost as if the gorilla had adopted the human baby as its own, a substitute for the one it had lost. The ranger felt a lump form in his throat as he watched the gorilla holding onto the baby with such tenderness and care. He knew that he couldn't take the baby away, but he also knew that he had to find a way to get the baby back to its family. As the ranger backed away, the gorilla sat down on the ground, still holding the baby. The ranger could see that the gorilla was lost in its own thoughts, as if reliving memories of its lost baby. The ranger realized that this was a heartbreaking situation. He had to find a way to get the baby back to its family without causing any harm to the gorilla. He knew that he had witnessed something extraordinary, and that the gorilla's love and loss would stay with him forever. Finally, the ranger realized that the gorilla had lost its baby and had adopted the human baby as its own. The ranger retreated, tears streaming down his face as he realized the magnitude of the situation. He had seen many things in his years as a ranger, but this was different. He knew that he had to act fast, but he didn't want to harm the gorilla. As he made his way back to the ranger station, his mind was racing. He had to find a way to get the baby back to its family, but he also knew that he had to do it without causing any harm to the gorilla. The ranger sat down, his head in his hands, as he tried to come up with a plan. He knew that he had to find a way to distract the gorilla, but he didn't want to use any force. As he sat there, lost in thought, he heard a rustling in the bushes. He turned to see one of the local villagers, a man he had met many times before, standing in front of him. The ranger knew that the villagers were familiar with the gorillas, and he hoped that this man could help him. The man listened as the ranger explained the situation. He nodded, his face serious, as he told the ranger that the gorilla had lost its baby and that it had found solace in the human baby. The ranger felt a lump form in his throat as he realized the depth of the gorilla's loss. He knew that he had to find a way to get the baby back to its family without causing any harm to the gorilla. The man suggested that they try to lure the gorilla away with food, while the ranger took the baby. The ranger knew that it was risky, but he didn't have any other options. The plan worked, and the ranger was able to retrieve the baby without any harm coming to the gorilla. As he made his way back to the village, he knew that he had witnessed something special. The gorilla had found solace in the human baby, and the ranger knew that he had to find a way to get the baby back to its family without causing any harm to the gorilla. As the ranger handed the baby back to its grateful parents, he felt a sense of relief wash over him. The baby was safe, and the gorilla was still nearby, watching from a distance. The parents thanked the ranger and the village man, tears streaming down their faces as they held their baby tight. The ranger knew that he had done the right thing, but he couldn't shake the feeling of sadness that hung over him. As he made his way back to the ranger station, he couldn't help but think about the gorilla. He knew that the gorilla had lost its baby, and he knew that it would be grieving for a long time. The ranger felt a sense of guilt as he thought about how the gorilla must feel. He wondered if there was anything he could do to help it, but he knew that it was best to leave the gorilla alone. As he sat in his cabin that night, the ranger couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the gorilla and the baby, and he wondered if there was a way to prevent something like this from happening again. In the end, the ranger realized that he had witnessed something bittersweet. The baby was safe, but the gorilla was still grieving. He knew that he had witnessed something extraordinary and that the gorilla's love and loss would stay with him forever. As he drifted off to sleep, the ranger made a promise to himself. He would do everything in his power to protect the animals in his care, and he would always remember the lesson that the gorilla had taught him. Love and loss were universal, and they affected everyone, even the animals in the wild. What did you think of this story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like the video and subscribe. See you next time.